Okay, you should have done the question, so here are the answers. Energy conversion within an animal cell would be severely limited by the removal of the cells. Well, it says animal cell, so it has to be something that's in that animal cell. Animal cell does not have chloroplast, and out of these two, I mean, we never did plastids, lysosome clean, so energy for animal and plant is the mitochondria. Which molecule provides most of the energy used to drive chemical reactions? So it's which molecule, and that is ATP. DNA and RNA are molecules, DNA molecule, RNA molecule, but they drive transcription, translation. Water drives photosynthesis, it keeps you hydrated, but we haven't really talked about water driving anything. Okay, diatoms are one of the most common types of phytoplankton in the marine habitats. Like plants, diatom contain chlorophyll and produce glucose from which of the following? So it said like plants, so I'm just going to say I'm going to treat these diatoms just like plants. And if that's the truth, just like plants, they need sun because they have chlorophyll. They have CO2. They need CO2 and they need water, and they produce glucose, C6H12O6, and oxygen. So I'm going to treat them just like plants. This goes in, this goes out. So it says they produce glucose from which of the following? So they're saying, what did they make the glucose from? So I'm looking for these answers right here. I don't see sun, so I'm basically looking for CO2 and water. Okay. Which of the following correctly describes how a diagram of cellular respiration would differ from a diagram of photosynthesis? I mean, to sum it up, they're like complete opposites. Remember how I said the reactants for one are the products of the other, and the products of one are the reactants for the other. Cellular respiration diagram would show electromagnetic waves. No. The cellular respiration diagram would show glucose as the main energy source. Cellular respiration, glucose gives you energy. Okay. Cellular respiration diagram would show energy stored in proteins. Proteins they get stored in as quick energy in carbs or stored energy in lipids, okay? The cellular respiration diagram would show water as the main energy source. Nope. So I like the glucose as the main energy source. Okay. Cells can generate as many as 36 to 38 molecules of adenosine triphosphate, ATP, from the metabolism of one glucose. So what that's saying is, when they take in one glucose, that can make 36 to 38 ATP energy molecules. Which cellular process results in this amount of ATP? Cellular respiration. Okay. There's two. We don't get ATP from photosynthesis of protein. Okay. Well, we didn't go over this, and they don't go over this often, but I did put this on here for a reason. Okay. You have two words. You have aerobic and anaerobic, okay? When you do aerobics, you're getting your heart rate up, okay, and you're using a lot of oxygen. Aerobic, okay. An means not. So aerobic means with oxygen, and anaerobic means no oxygen. Cellular respiration, animals, needs oxygen, needs glucose. So to get the most amount of ATP possible, you need the most amount of glucose and the most amount of oxygen. So what gives you the most amount of things? With your oxygen, okay? Which of these statements best explains the process of energy conversion that takes place in the mitochondria? Okay, so what happens in the mitochondria? So in the mitochondria, that's where we eat glucose and take in oxygen. What comes out? ATP. We breathe out CO2 and H2O. Okay. Energy is required for carbon dioxide molecules. Nope, that's what comes out. Water molecules and radiate energy. Nope, we don't need sun. Oxygen molecules release energy. Oxygen don't have energy. The energy in the bonds of glucose get transferred to the bonds in the phosphate in ATP. Okay, there it is. Okay, next one. Which statement best describes the relationship between the products of photosynthesis and the reactants in cellular respiration? So this is what I was talking about. The products of photosynthesis serve as the reactants in cellular respiration to provide chemical energy. Yeah. The products of photosynthesis combine with the reactants? No. The products of photosynthesis inhibit the reactants? The products of photosynthesis change the structure? It's they are. They are the products, then become the reactants. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration both involve the use and release of gases. Which statement correctly identifies the role of gases in these two processes? So basically, they're trying to figure out if you know the difference between which one takes in oxygen, which one takes in carbon dioxide. Most people forget about cellular respiration. They read about cellular respiration, they're like, I don't know. So just make sure you check what you do know, which is photosynthesis. You know plants take in oxygen and take in CO2 and they put out oxygen. So because you know about plants, try to at least figure out which ones are true and false that way, okay? Photosynthesis and cellular respiration both use carbon dioxide. You know they both don't use the same things. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration both use oxygen. No, okay. Cellular respiration uses oxygen. Yes, and release carbon dioxide. Yes. Okay, pretend like you didn't even know about that first part in H. Let's do the second. While photosynthesis, plants use carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Yes. So we know that's true. Then this second one, despite what the first part says, while photosynthesis uses oxygen, photosynthesis doesn't use oxygen, so I can get rid of that one too. Okay, which molecule synthesized by plants? Synthesize just means make, right? To synthesize something, you make it. Which molecule made by plants is a major source of energy? Wax doesn't give me energy, nucleic acids don't give me energy, and chlorophyll doesn't give me energy, glucose does. Yay, last questions. Okay. Which of the structures protects the leaf from drying out? Think desert. Which of these structures protects the leaves? Oh. I guess we're not supposed to do the letters, but like what protects the leaves from drying out? Thin leaves, I would think, would dry out quicker. Thick leaves, maybe. Shiny leaves, D, that's probably really good for photosynthesis, but not necessarily for drying out. So no thin, no shiny. Waxy leaves. Okay, so we do want thick, waxy leaves, and waxy leaves is actually the right answer because remember, when something is waxy, think about like if it had a layer of petroleum jelly, like petroleum jelly on it. So it'd be really waxy to where when the water wanted to evaporate out, it would beat up on it and not leave it and then come back down. It's kind of like why you put chapstick on your lips, okay? When you put chapstick on, you're coating it with a waxy petroleum jelly and your lips won't dry out, okay? Which structure regulates gas exchange? Those are the stomata holes, and the thing that looks like a stomata hole the most is T. The stomata, C, okay? Okay, which of these characteristics might help a plant species survive in an area of limited sunlight? Okay, so if there's not a lot of sun, you want to try to grab as much as possible. Flowers, and it has to do with your leaves, right? Because your flowers are for reproductive structures, your roots are for absorbing, your stem is your xylem and phloem, okay? So it's your leaves. You don't care about bright flowers. You do want large leaves. You almost want a longer stem, right? Higher. You want to grow up above other plants so that you can get that light over them. So you probably want a long stem. Thick cuticles, I don't think that matters. So larger leaves, that's definitely an adaptation for a plant to survive and outcompete other plants. Okay, all done.